Okay, this is Jack Jackson with the last of this series of lectures on exact values of trigonometric functions of certain special angles. Now, recall we first started talking about the axial angles, which we looked at by finding points on the unit circle where the axial angles, the terminal side, met. We also looked at ones where they were a reference angle of pi over 4, and we naturally looked at a circle of radius 2 for those so that we could place our special triangle in that circle. But we could also look at those same ones by looking at points within the unit circle. Two different similar triangles, we can use either one. I think it's more natural to use the circle of radius square root of 2, but you can use just the unit circle. In a similar way, when we did the reference angle of pi over 6 or 30 degrees, we came up with these using the standard special triangle that we put in there, a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. We're able to put inside this circle of radius 2 to help us with this. But we could also, of course, look at points on the unit circle for the same ones and use those points to find the trig functions. And similarly, for the same circle, we could look at putting our special triangle a different direction and use those points on the unit circle. So we're getting a lot of stuff here. So let's see if I can hide a few things here. And let's see here. Let's hide that. And you can hide that and that. So we were looking at a circle of radius 2, a circle of radius square root of 2, and of course the unit circle. We could actually pull all of these back down to just look at what happens on the unit circle and not look at these other circles. I think it's better to look at the other size circles, but we could look at it all in the unit circle, and so this summarizes all the information. This one's a little bit messy, so we're going to look at the same thing by going to the next tab over, which summarizes all this in maybe a little bit neater way. And these are all of our special angles that we've covered in the last, well, this is the fourth of 4 videos on this. No, the 5th video, I guess, on this topic. And we see that each one of these, we give one possible angle. We look at the angle with the smallest amount of rotation are the ones that I've given here. But of course, add any multiple of 2 pi, any integer times 2 pi added to this angle, or any integer times 360 degrees added to this angle, if you want to do it in degrees, and you'll get a coterminal angle. And so here are several different, here are all of our special angles given on the unit circle. And so you see the red ones are the axial angles. They are along one of the axes, and they either go through the point 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, or 0, negative 1, with radian measure 0, pi over 2, pi, or negative pi over 2, or add 2 pi to those values, multiples of 2 pi. And then the x and y coordinates, remember, of any point on the unit circle, then, if it's on the terminal side, will be the cosine of that angle, comma, the sine of that angle. So these x and y are not only the x and y's, they're also just cosine and sine straight out, because we're just dividing by the radius of 1. Of course, we also have r is 1, and these are x and y, and we can use those values to find the other trig functions like tangent, cotangent, and so forth. Okay? Similarly, all the blue ones have a reference angle of size 30 degrees, or pi over 6. The orange ones have reference angle of 45 degrees, or pi over 4. And the pink ones have reference degree of 60 degrees, or pi over 3. And so that gives us all of the information, basically, that we've been looking at, sort of summarized on a single picture. It's going to be useful for us to know these particular angles and their sine, cosine, and tangents, and other trig functions as well. But rather than trying to memorize all this, I still think it's best to just go back and remember what it is that we're looking at in terms of either the unit circle for the axial angles, a circle of radius square root of 2 for the ones where it's pi over 4, pi over 6 we're looking at, or pi over 3, either one, we're looking at putting those inside of a circle of radius 2. Okay, so either one of those we get that way. One more thing before we leave this video so that you see this. I do have one more button here I want to show you. This button here brings up some more buttons on the side, and so this will illustrate each one of the angles individually and summarize. So there is the square root, there is 30 degrees shown on the circle of radius 2. There's one 150 degrees, or 5 power 6. There's negative 150 degrees. There's negative 30 degrees, and it has all the trig functions for each of those worked out. Here's one on the let's see, here's 60 degrees. I guess we want to see that circle too. So there we go for 60 degrees. There's 120 degrees. There's negative 120 degrees. Negative 60 degrees. It's here. 45 degrees here. Negative 45 there. Negative 135. And 45 degrees. So that is, so you can see all of those individually. So if you want an illustration of one, you can do it from there. And by the way, you can, anytime you have anything from one of these sketchpad sketches, I can always show something here. For example, I've got, let's say this one at 30 degrees. If I want to print this out, I can just go to File and say Print. I'll go to Print Preview, and this is what it looks like. This is too big for one page, but I can say Fit to Page, and it will fit all of that on one page like that. Now if I just hit Print, it will print it out on my printer. I can also highlight some things like this and copy, which in Windows is Control C, and I can go to any word processor like this and do paste, Control V, and paste it in there like that, and then of course add text to what I'm doing there. So if I wanted to, I can easily get this over into something that I could print out, make myself some notes out of this. So you can use the Sketchpad sketch itself for notes as you're reading along, but you can also print you out some notes if you want to have a hard copy of some notes as well. And so you can, highlight the things that you want using, just click on this little arrow button up here, and then you can select things to highlight. You can always re-download this if you accidentally delete something. Control Z is always nice to remember, because that's the undo. It will undo something if you accidentally do something that you didn't mean to do, like delete a bunch of stuff. So if you ever need illustrations of the individual ones, you could easily get hold of them that way. My axis kind of disappeared there. I have a hide axes and then show axes button to get that back if I need to. So once again, there are our special angles, and there's a summary of all of that material.